League of Legends has left an indelible mark on the world of esports, solidifying its legacy as one of the most influential games in the genre. Since its debut in 2009, League of Legends, or LoL, has grown into a global phenomenon, drawing millions of players and viewers alike. Several points during these years, it has not only been the most played multiplayer title, but also the most played game in the world, period. Its competitive scene has become a powerhouse, with annual tournaments like the World Championship and MSI boasting staggering prize pools and viewership numbers. League's legacy in esports is up there with the likes of Counter-Strike, StarCraft, and Dota. So, what if Riot Games applied all their knowledge and resources to branch out of the MOBA genre? Hello, I'm Pawnce, and welcome to DashFight. I'm a Twitch streamer known for some of my past League of Legends exploits of ill repute. Project L looks like it will be the next big thing in the FGC, hopefully in the next year to come, so let's talk about it and the 10 characters we think should make the final cut. People, myself included, used to joke that Riot Games should be called Riot Game, as they didn't have any other titles to their name. But a thunder has struck recently, and now we have Valorant that's competing in the FPS genre, Teamfight Tactics, which usurped the entire auto-battler space, Legends of Runeterra, which is competing against Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering in the CCG space, and now Riot Games is entering the fighting game community with Project L. One of the standout features of League of Legends is its roster of iconic characters known as champions. From the mysterious and formidable Shadow Ninja Zed to the fluffy yet hated Teemo, these champions have become household names among gamers. Their unique abilities, personalities, colorful and striking visuals, and intricate backstories have earned them a formidable and dedicated fanbase. Because, just like in fighting games, players pick their characters based on various features. Some champions have even transcended the game itself, inspiring a plethora of fan art, cosplay, and merchandise. Now, imagine these iconic LoL champions stepping into a different arena, a fighting game. The potential for an epic crossover is tantalizing. Each champion's distinctive abilities and playstyle could be transformed into something familiar to the FGC audience. And that is exactly what Riot is doing. So far, we have several confirmed characters: Ahri, Darius, Echo, Alawi, Jinx, Katarina, and Yasuo. Yasuo's appearance in particular essentially confirms that his brother Yone will also be in the game. You could also safely bet on Vi's inclusion into the main roster, and it's possible that a significant portion of the cast of Riot's hit TV series Arcane will end up in Project L sooner or later. All that aside, today we'll be taking a look at 10 League of Legends champions that should end up on the main roster. But before we begin, please visit DashFight.com for anything fighting game related. We'll be covering Project L extensively when it comes out. Mordekaiser is a towering creature of pure spite and enmity who is brought back to life with a necromantic ritual and bound to a suit of iron armor. His eternal conquest brings him ever closer to his goal of conquering the realms of both the living and the dead. Gameplay-wise, Mordekaiser in League is a hulking juggernaut that is very slow, but if he does catch you, you're most likely done for. He has a Death's Grip ability that drags his opponent closer, and it could easily be utilized as a main launcher tool in Project L. His weapon is a gigantic mace that deals extra damage when it hits isolated targets. This could be easily translated into having bonus damage to a certain part of the weapon's hitbox in Project L. One of the unique aspects of Mordekaiser is his passive ability, Darkness Rise. After landing 3 hits on an enemy, he gains a circular aura around himself that constantly damages his opponents. It could be a conditional deterrent for opponents getting too close to him when he's fired up. His most iconic ability, however, is his ultimate, Realm of Death. Using this power, the Iron Revenant isolates his target in a suffocating umbral dimension, dealing extra damage to his unfortunate victim and stealing their combat statistics. From what we've seen so far, the devs like remaking ultimate abilities into supers, so his ult could be an install-like power-up super that creates a game state where the opponent can't switch the characters or use any assists. Whichever way Riot decides to move with him, Mordekaiser could be a great addition to Project L. Every game should have its towering powerhouse after all. Akali used to be a member of the distinguished Ionian Kinko Order, an organization dedicated to maintaining the balance between human and spirit worlds. Disillusioned with her order's restraining views, she abandoned it to become the deadly assassin her homeland required. Akali in League of Legends is the quintessential ninja assassin, constantly weaving in and out of the shadows, only to explode in a singularly deadly burst that leaves her enemies no chance. Being a small and nimble ninja, she could be made into a slippery rushdown character with a hefty amount of options and mix-ups, or a neutral footsies-based fighter that's constantly weaving in and out of her opponent's range. The former's gameplay could be supported by the sheer number of her dashes, kunai throws, and general ninja nonsense to fill up 3 characters' worth of movesets. Potential for the latter stems from her passive ability, Assassin's Mark, which requires her to actually balance her distance to deal additional damage to her enemies. Or, well, she could be both, and have true stealth, and be just as annoying as she is in League. No, we're not salty. Udyr is a shaman called a Spirit Walker in the League of Legends universe who has the ability to commune with and channel the spirits of the land. He is the most powerful shaman in known history, but even he is not without fault, struggling to find an equilibrium between his inner balance and the land's natural predisposition towards conflict. Udyr is the quintessential stance character that has a different form ready for any given situation. He can channel the spirits of bear, boar, ram, and eagle. All of them are based on the demigods of the Freljord region, imbuing his skills with their power. Bear stance is the attacking one, tearing his opponents apart with claws and thunder. Boar is the defensive one, granting him shields and life regeneration. Ram grants the ability to both control his enemies and resist their attempts to restrain him. And the eagle is actually a cryo-phoenix that allows him to enshroud himself in a glacial blizzard, dealing heavy damage to anyone unfortunate enough to stand close to him. We have seen a good amount of stance-based characters in all kinds of fighting games, so Riot Games is quite free to spin him in any direction they may want. It's actually not very often in video games that we get 2 characters that are already canonically paired. Xayah and Rakan are a pair of Vastaya, humanoid creatures from the region of Ionia that have animalistic features and a deep connection to the spirits and the magic of the land. They are also partners and lovers. Xayah is a Vastayan revolutionary and rebel who wages war in hope of restoring her tribe to its former glory, and Rakan is her loyal supporter who left his previous life as a battle dancer to help her in her conquest. If you remember, Project L is going to be an assist-based fighter that will utilize different synergies between the characters to unleash their full potential. And what better way to push this fantasy than to add a pair of characters that already have a pre-existing synergy? Both Xayah and Rakan can function separately, but in League of Legends they're much stronger together. They can perform combo attacks together, their abilities complement each other, and they can even dance or recall to base in sync. Xayah is already a setup character even in League. Her attacks leave feathers on the ground, which she can recall at any time to stun every character they pass through. Rakan helps her with this game plan, as his kit consists of control abilities such as a knock-up and a charm. These tools thus give Xayah the time to prepare the battlefield with her feathers. Come on, Rat, you can't not include them in your fighting game. They're just begging to be on the roster. Zed is the League's foremost anti-villain. He's an Ionian ninja who's mastered the very dangerous and forbidden technique of shadow manipulation, all in an attempt to drive the invading Noxian armies from Ionia. A ruthless and merciless leader of the Order of Shadow, he was a student of the very same Kinko order that Akali abandoned, though under very different circumstances. Zed is one of the most popular League of Legends characters for 2 simple reasons. 1. His entire kit, in the right hands at least, is very effective at getting rid of priority targets at almost any point of the game. And 2. He's a flippin' edgy shadow ninja with Kotaro Fuma vibes. The entirety of his gameplay hinges on the utilization of his shadow clones that he can create at will. They can precisely mimic his abilities, and he can even swap his place with them. Zed's main offensive tools are Razor Shurikens, which both he and his living shadows can throw from different directions, resulting in unpredictable trajectories. His ultimate ability is Death Mark. After it's applied to an enemy, it deals an additional 55% of the damage dealt by Zed within a small time frame. All this could translate into Zed being a setup-heavy character that can deal insane amounts of damage in short, specific windows. And let's be real here. There's no way Zed isn't making Project L's roster. Kaisa. She was an ordinary girl in a small Shuriman village when, one fateful day, she fell into a rift that suddenly opened up in the ground. But she wasn't merely swallowed up by the earth. A fate far worse than death awaited her. She had fallen into the void, having forged a symbiotic relationship with a void-born creature that became her carapace. She came back to help cleanse the world of this scourge. Ever since Kaisa was released back in 2018, she's essentially been a poster child for League of Legends. She's always been one of the most popular characters both for the casual audience and the pro players. And her character skins sell like hotcakes because, as the internet would say, she's top waifu. She's even been featured in several cinematics: Warriors, The Call, KDA Popstars, and KDA more. And rather uniquely, her League of Legends kit actually isn't all that important in this case. Well, yes, she's a character that can be projectile-based with super long-range Void Seeker and homing rockets of Acathian Rain, but what's much more important is her lore. You see, she has a suit of living Voidborn armor on her at all times, and it can be transformed into any weapon. Any weapon. So yes, for Kaisa, we're essentially saying don't let her League abilities hold her back. Just go wild with what's needed to make her a compelling character. Make her a new Zato 1 and Eddie if need be. She's essentially clay that's just asking to be molded into a Project L character. Fiora is as prideful as she is skilled. Feared as the greatest duelist in all of Demacia, she is the current head of the noble Laurent family after she defeated her father in a duel for the title, his disgraceful actions having almost brought the house to ruin. Now, Fiora serves two motivations: restoring House Laurent's honor and finding a worthy opponent that can actually challenge her in a duel. If you want to describe Fiora's entire character fantasy in one word, the term you're looking for is precise. Her entire gimmick in the early stages of a League game is to hit different weak spots that appear on the opposing character. With a swift lunge, she can reach out and strike a vital to deal devastating amounts of damage. Her other signature ability is Riposte, which does exactly what you might imagine. It parries the opponent's move and returns the favor with a debilitating strike of her own. She would be the perfect turtle-style character that waits for her opponent to make a mistake, only to punish a whiff or parry a carelessly thrown unsafe mid. And while her current ultimate ability, Grand Challenge, could be utilized as it opens up vital spots all around her opponent, we think that for Project L, Riot could bring back her old, more iconic ult, Blade Waltz. Riven was once a commander of a Noxian warband. Armed with an ancient runic blade and pragmatic, ruthless efficiency, she saw success after success. But Noxus's invasion of Ionia tested her faith in her own nation to the point of breaking. It wasn't only her blade that was shattered on that accursed campaign, but her beliefs and, ultimately, herself. Now filled with a deep sense of self-loathing, she seeks to right all her wrongs. Riven might as well already be a fighting game character. She has a three-part combo that's essentially lifted from various titles. She has a dash, a stun that can be made into a grab, and an install for an ultimate ability. And it's not only that. The developers even stated that her character kit was inspired by none other than Marth from the Super Smash Bros. Series. And Riven's Broken Wings ability directly references his Dancing Blade from Melee. She was even called by codename Marth during her development. If that's not enough of a reason to justify her inclusion in the roster, also keep in mind that she's consistently been one of the most popular top-lane characters in League with quite a loyal fanbase. That ought to be worth something too. Lee Sin is another Ionian entry on our list. He is a warrior monk who lost his eyesight many moons ago, but that hasn't hindered his effectiveness in the slightest. By channeling the essence of the dragon spirit, he is able to overcome incredibly unfavorable odds many warriors would crumble against. Lee Sin is the original kicky-punchy League of Legends character. He may sound like a cliché blind monk type, but he's much, much more than that. His dragon spirit helps him release all the rage that's built up within him while he's fighting, and that could be an awesome element to explore in Project L. Being blind, he's also constantly relying on his heightened senses, especially his hearing and sense of smell. The former is recognized in-game with his two-part ability name, Sonic Wave and Resonating Strike. While Lee Sin, as he is, could already be a great call for Project L, there are some alternatives. Lee Sin, being a martial artist, has several skins that picture him practicing various martial arts. Two of the most notable ones are Muay Thai Lee Sin, which is rather self-explanatory, and Knockout Lee Sin, which focuses on good old-fashioned boxing. Riot Games could very easily and seamlessly incorporate those into his Project L persona. And last but most definitely not least, we have Set. We'll go so far as to say that we believe it's impossible for Riot Games to not include Set in Project L, because fighting is his entire thing. A child to a human father and a Bastayan mother, he had to learn to defend himself from a very early age. He started out as a lowly challenger in the Navori fighting pits, but quickly rose through the ranks thanks to his inhuman strength and the ability to withstand incredible amounts of punishment. Ultimately, after defeating everyone there was to fight, Set became the boss of the pit he was once forced to fight in. In League of Legends, Set has two very powerful weapons, his left hook and his right hook. He's a scrappy fighter through and through, and his preferred way to block his opponent's punches is with his face. But he's not just an idiot. Set stores all the damage he has received and then unleashes it in a singular haymaker that obliterates everything in its path. His usual combo is the showstopper command grab into facebreaker displacement, followed up by the aforementioned haymaker. If for some reason his opponent is still alive, he can knuckle them down with a couple of quick hits. With all this in mind, Set is practically ready for Project L already, and it would be a huge shock for us if he doesn't make the final cut. And that was our list of League of Legends characters who we think should be in Project L. Of course, with 165 champions at the time of writing, Riot Games has a ridiculously deep and rich roster from which they could pull characters to add to Project L. We strongly believe that the developers will consider factors like their abilities, backgrounds, as well as popularity with the general populace, and more. Who would you like to see in Project L? Maybe someone wacky like Corki, or perhaps something as weird as Ivern? Let us know in the comments below.